This is KDXI St. George, Radio St. George at 100.3 FM. Creator of Energy Healing by Design, Nicole Ashton, a world-renowned healer and luminary whose life after death experience has allowed her the gift of empowering people around the globe to heal and grow into their true authentic space. Nicole, with her natural connection to Source, which has remained open since her return, will help you and your family find the frequency of gratitude and patient love that will assist you in awakening your soul's design. We now welcome you to Return to Consciousness with your host, Nicole.
Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Return to Consciousness, live with Nicole. Special guest, William Miller and Noreen Jessup. We are super excited to be celebrating women, and it's through this portion of our, the first part of the episode, which we kind of discuss a topic and share stories, and then the second part, we do a meditation. And we are taking callers today, so I encourage you to share, call in if you have any questions about the show, if you have questions for myself, Will, or Noreen. And when you call in, we invite you to kind of address which person you're asking a question to, and you can call in at 435-879-4100. And again, I am Nicole Ashton, the host of the show. We created this show to be an open space for people to communicate, share ideas on expansion, on consciousness, and what that looks like. And it's been it's been two years since I've been on the radio, and a year since this Return to Consciousness has been on air, I guess. And we've had different guests, and the responses have been amazing. The emails and the questions about energy, and we encourage that. But I did hear that they loved the online or the live healings. So I'm going to remind those beautiful people that send those emails that it takes someone to be brave and call in. And then we'll remember that energy has no time or distance. So whenever you're in need of it, or whenever Spirit is guiding you to it, then you will listen to an episode or something will come across that will spark you to discover more, because we are these beings, these magnificent lights, and you are so much more than you've been told. And we here on this station bring people together to really share ideas and be able to explore more. And so today, the celebrating women to me was amazing, because then I started kind of thinking of what my experience has been and the women that have really touched me. And one is my mother, which is probably one of the most humblest, supportive women, grandmothers. That's what she always reminds me of, this lady with all this wisdom and unfailing love. And so when I was thinking of these indigenous people that I've met, when I was thinking of all these people I could share, Mother Teresa, and I'm like, you know what? My mother has helped and assisted so many women through her experience, through her life, through where she's at, including you, Noreen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you think of inspiring women, what comes to you, or what have you?
Mostly you.
Oh.
You and your mom. And I have many, many close friends that have been with me through all of the different phases of life, that have just, ones that just show up and not even there to be forceful on your life in any way, but just ones that are just there to hold space, to support, it's kind of like you've done, and your mom.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Are you guys? I am having some fun times with this board today. I think it's one of those days. I'm hoping that you guys can hear us now. I was not listening to your conversation, but the board, I couldn't hear your voice, so it was moving those dials a little bit. Well, thank you. I I strive to, not necessarily strive, I don't think that's the word, but my mission in the coming back and inspiration has been, all I know is service. And so I absolutely love and adore you for yours. Imagine, those who have met and know Noreen, she's also been on the show and shared with her children. Their 3 children have PCAN, which is a brain disorder. And it has taken her oldest son's, he crossed over several months ago from this disorder, and now she has her 2 twins that she gets to be a part of and watch their growth and their experience. And so for me to look across at you and say, and you're a very, very strong woman. You've gone through more than any mother would ever even imagine going through. So how have you got through that?
I think a lot of it I haven't even faced yet. I mean, it's been months, but I think it comes in phases. Like, you deal with as much as your spirit and your emotional state will let you, and then you go on a phase where you're doing great, and then you deal with a whole nother phase that just comes at you a tiny bit at a time, and sometimes you'll get hit with a big one and you deal with it. But I try to use most of the stuff Nicole's shared on the radio before. Like, you're meditating, you just grounding things out and trying to understand that there's always a reason for stuff, and to feel it, learn from it, and let it go. And it's got me really far.
Wow! And just sitting here in experiencing you right now, I get to remember where you were at when we first started working together, and you brought Darren to me, and you came to me. Like, when you're looking, it's just making me think of what I said is who inspires you. And when I got responses of, Mother Teresa and some people in the indigenous and some women, I was getting a whole bunch of women that I should celebrate today. And I'm like, none of them except Mother Teresa really caught my attention yet, except for Sophia, the beginning of the matriarch. She did. But now I'm sitting across from you. It's because I feel like that sometimes we get so busy in the historics of the people that have pushed humanity to greatness, social aspects, of society to greatness. But people like you every day that are doing these motherly things that you don't recognize that you're playing a part of being a catalyst for strength for people, as you're writing your story, and as you've grown and shared what you're going through, the impact that your story has had is amazing. And I didn't realize today that why I invited Noreen today was, I just invited her last night, so she's brave. But it was because I don't feel like you give yourself enough credit from where you were at to where you are now.
Huge leaps. But I don't take how far both you and your mom and this whole group we've had has brought, kind of nudged me for a couple of years now. I don't take that for granted. I want you to know that. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful.
It takes a village, right?
It does, and sometimes a few.
And there's that healthy balance that we need as we're welcoming again Dr. Will Miller, as we are just scratching the surface of the matriarch and the patriarch, which is going to be huge. It's going to be a huge information portal or opening that's coming, that people are going to start seeking and wondering what this matriarch means, and the patriarch, which in balance is going to be amazing. When I'm thinking of celebrating the female, I started asking myself, I'm like, you know what? For me, crossing over, doing work as intensely as I've had, whatever. I think I'm saying that right, but you get what I'm saying now.
So far, I understand.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's working, because I'm very, very connected to this episode. So I realized that we hold, even though I have this physical form that's female, that I hold masculine and a feminine energy. And then I realized we all do. And then I realized that because the body separates us, we feel like that we, as a man, can't, like that sensitive side, the nurturing side. In history, it was kind of shown that's weak, right? And then us as women have kind of, if the empowering part or the doing, that hasn't been encouraged either. So it's like this constant separation throughout time. Today, celebrating the feminine piece doesn't value the man. I feel like that it's encouraging for all of us to embrace both parts of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think it's important, too, to understand, we do both. We have both a masculine and a feminine side, or a feminine and masculine side, however you want to look at that, right? And we can call on those as we need. It's a little, I grew up it depends on how you're conditioned, right? I grew up in a society and a time where men didn't show that feminine side, and you don't cry and those kind of things. But really we're kind of, this is going into a decade of the matriarch, and we've got to learn to call on our feminine side. And I really think it's important as we do that, it's not just about giving power to women, it's about honoring women, right? And there's a big difference. Because we should honor their amazing abilities and their kindness and their ability to have empathy and all the things that we need, every person needs really, to grow and become awakened and whole and coherent, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. So, and
I've witnessed that coherence is becoming more acceptable. Because as in my travels, I realize that humans are embracing both sides as much as they can. I'm not challenging at all, but I do witness male energy being very egoistic, resistance, because it goes against everything that they've ever learned. And so, not that I'm judging or nothing, but it feels like they're not as cooperative with the shift. And as I explained before, it's because women are used to that shifting and changing and nurturing, So it's like as the women are rising, they also need to understand that man, that energy, really is confused. The things that people are talking about, and energy that is coming up and moving through, this goes against everything that you guys have ever been told.
Well, it does, and our ego says don't do that. But once you realize and you let go of that, you're really gaining strength by letting go and adding those other abilities as opposed to being weak. But the ego says, "Oh no, I'm going to be weak if I do this." No, you're adding to your strength, and I've gone to your energy meetings and some of the conferences and events you've put on, and men are outnumbered at those events, like right. 10, like 8 to every 8 women, there's 2 men, maybe, right? Or 3 men, maybe 7 to 3, but it's definitely not more than that. Yeah, sometimes 1. So, we are a little outnumbered, and it does come down to ego, and it's really just our conditioning. We've lived in a very patriarchal world, right, where an order for a long time, and we're just now breaking that. It's kind of a new thing for us to break through that and understand we have both sides, and it adds to our strength. It doesn't weaken us. It's so hard to understand sometimes.
And that nurturing piece of a woman, of a female side, which is in both, but is that patriarch, which is the male drive, the doing, has been celebrated. You're celebrated. George Washington, even in the Buddha, all this stuff. The matriarch has. If you look at those scripts, it's always the man on the writings. It's always the man being celebrated, which I'm not complaining. Thank you. Where maybe that was the paradigm or the operating system that got us where we're at, and now that it's shifting a little bit, it seems to me a struggle to celebrate the women, and I'm finding women almost don't feel like they're worthy of it. Like they're like, oh, it's our women, it's our day. What do we do? Do we dare celebrate? Like even today, me sharing, I'm like, am I going to offend? And I'm like, that's okay because it's the truth. It's really what's happening. There's no judgment here. There's not really. We share our thoughts and our opinions, but everything shifts and changes so much. But
it does.
For you, Noreen, I've recognized you coming out of where your situation is, your belief system, and trusting in your intuition. When you think of how far you have came, is that just delightful?
It is. It's also, I was going to add earlier when we were talking about like the balance and everything. I think it's also the same for women, where you said it's empowering for men to embrace both sides.
Right.
Well, as so much is for women, for so many centuries and like almost eons, the men have held that solid ground for women, so we didn't have to do anything but nurture children. And I feel like now women are wanting to experience that a little bit more, and I think it's also empowering for women too to like embrace, okay, let's find some solid ground for you. And I think he's very head on with both. Doesn't matter male or female, to embrace both sides, balance, and of course moderation in that. Like you don't want to be like overboard one way or the other. But
right. Well, it's just it's honoring each other's individual abilities too.
Yeah,
we are different. That's honestly, we're different. So it's just honoring that, right? It's honoring each other's different abilities in doing that. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I like that you use the word honoring because that's exactly all it is. Yeah.
So the beautiful thing about celebrating life is that it is so beautiful. Every breath counts. We each breathe the same. We're each taught to, and that innate breath that you first take, you don't really think about the gender. You don't think about anything except for that just bouncing inside of your body. So as you think that learned belief systems, and the woman's physique is not as strong. Most women aren't built that way because they're built more flexible to have kids and whatnot. So their system and their makeup is different than a man's. And so by honoring that there is a design that each of us agreed to when we said we're going down female, we're going down male, there's that also that honoring each other, that, oh my gosh, this is your role, but not having an expectation of what we've been taught it looked like, because the disempowerment of the women did happen. There's no denying that in history. But we don't have to live in that. We can say, oh my gosh, that they did the best they could with what they had at that time and the knowledge that they had, and what can we do now? And I feel like that living in this present moment is what we can focus and practice is, what can we do together now? Like, as women and as men, Noreen talks from a woman's point of view because we are a woman, but it doesn't mean that we're disempowering the men. We invite the male to also share what they feel and think. Because I've got that before. They're like, we're always speaking for the woman. Well, because I am a woman. But I'm more than happy to hear your side of it, because that's what we're trying to do, is create that balance without conflict. And everything, in Mother Nature is in cooperation with each other, is in coherence with each other. And so when you go to the origin of your soul and you just really drop down into that heart space and you ask for your inner truth, your soul's design of what feels good, you'll start feeling it, because that light does not. The light is knowledge, the light is intelligence, and so as you're asking your heart to open up, heart math tells you that your brain has these neuroresponders, and your heart does too, and in fact they never operate separate from each other. Your heart holds memories, your heart holds feelings, your heart holds everything that the brain does. It's just we're taught to process through the brain. And so, that's kind of maybe and this one is, I'm just asking on this one. So is that a male and female version of your system, or?
Well, I've always said that the heart and brain work together, but it also works with the gut,
Right.
And I look at it this way: the head or your brain is more of a body, Your heart is more of a mind, and your gut is your soul. You know, if you, I always tell people, go with your gut, because your gut is your soul speaking, whispering to you, right? And it comes through your heart. So
you're
get out of your head.
So what I'm seeing is that's your feminine piece, the heart, because it's physical, the heart, and then the brain, the male, and then the soul is obviously there's no gender there. And
I think you're right, because now that you're saying it, it makes good sense. I mean, we're born a certain way, a male or a female. We feel about ourselves a certain way. We act a certain way. We're conditioned a certain way. That all is in the brain, right? That's all stored in your memory and through your brain. And so, yeah, that my masculine side, I'm sure, comes from, and my ego all reside scientifically within my brain, and it's my heart and my gut, you know, that are bringing up the other parts of me to offset or balance coherence, right, with that. Mm-hmm. So
we all have ego, by the way.
We do. I happen to have a good one.
At least we're admitting it. That's a big step. And not being resistant to it is great. So when I'm observing like my history and watching my story unfold from and you've been a part of it a long time, the science piece. So like when I was really spiritual and almost couldn't communicate with people, so I understood that feel good piece of it, and then I went into like epigenetics and I learned that kind of how the body works, and then but I feel like people right now are so split between those two things that there's like they think that you have to be one or the other, and it's hard for them to merge that there actually could be spirituality. I'm having a rough time today speaking, and science facts, you know, because science is catching up to spiritual facts or spiritual
wisdom.
Wisdom,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I agree, and obviously that's what we talk about a lot is that connection and creating that coherence. We are not just a body; we are spirit as well. I'm not this body. I just live in this body. I'm here. This body's for experience, and you know, I think along with coming out of this patriarchal, you know, millennium that we've lived in, if you will, into a new decade of more of a matriarchal type of a world, it's going to help us to be coherent, body, mind, and soul, and understand that spiritual side for us. And I really see people moving that way. A lot of people moving that way. Women faster than men.
And I'm encouraging you to explore, investigate what your body can do, because at this time they are creating AI. Their intelligence that is simulating the human experience. I'm telling you, your body, your mind, your brain can do what this technology that's coming out. You can do that if you sit with yourself. Don't give your power away to technology, to an idea of all this stuff. When I saw that, I wanted to cry. They're having AI babies because and the AI date. They have the first marriage to a technology. This made me so sad because it's easier if you choose to not be with them anymore. You just pull the plug. I was heartbroken. I'm like, and the biggest thing is the human, us, does not realize that we are more than we've been told, and we love more than we thought was imaginable. And we're giving our power and our away, thinking that we can't do it when all that is inside of us. Otherwise, that technology would not exist, because who's creating that technology is a human.
Well, and what upsets me or makes me sad about that is we have already created this amazing human experience and body to experience those things from. Yeah. And now we're giving it away. Why would we give away what we've already created for ourselves and can do? It's crazy.
Right. And, you know, where is that God creator life source right now? And we're wondering why sometimes we're not being answered is because we kicked him out of our schools. We've kicked him out of prayer. It's choice to bring that back in. And you are here with Return to Consciousness, and we will be back for the second half. Thank you.
Hi there, this is Bill McLaughlin, inviting you to come along on an extraordinary journey through time as we explore the music of women composers over a millennium. Starting with Hildegard von Bingen, the 12th century mystic and composer of genius, and coming right up to the present, we're going to have a musical feast beyond compare. That's women's music over the millennium this week on Exploring Music.
Exploring Music, weekdays at 5 on Radio St. George, 100.3 FM.
Do you have a brain?
The Dixie Direct Card is a savings guide for Southern Utah. Coupons, 2-for-1, freebies, and discounts from participating businesses. The Dixie Direct Savings Guide also donated $250,000 to Washington County Schools in 2018 through their fundraising program. The Dixie Direct Savings Guide, a proud sponsor of DSU Radio.
Dixie Direct Card.
How are you, sports fans? This is your Dixie State sports schedule of the week. On March 9th, the women's golf team will be at the Missouri St. Louis Emerald Coast Classic all day, followed by the men's golf team at the Notre Dame de Amour Invitational all day as well. On March 10th, the women's golf team will continue the Missouri St. Louis Emerald Classic all day, and then followed by the men's golf team at the Notre Dame de Amour Invitational all day as well. Then on March 13th, the men's baseball team will be on the road at Colorado Springs at 3 p.m. Then on March 14th, the men's basketball team will take on Colorado School Mines in the first round of the Divisional II tournament at 5 p.m., while the softball team will be home at Carl Brooks Field to take on Colorado Mesa at 11 a.m. and Adams State at 3 p.m., while the men's baseball team will still be on the road at Colorado Springs at noon and 3 p.m. Finally, on March 15th, the women's softball team will continue their matchup against Adams State and Colorado Mesa at Carl Brooks Field. Adams State will be at 11 a.m. and Colorado Mesa will be at 3 p.m. Then the men's baseball team will wrap up their series on the road at Colorado Springs at noon. You can find out more information on Dixie State Athletics at DixieStateAthletics.com and tune in to Radio Dixie 91.3.
Rent a laptop or tablet through the Women's Resource Center. Stop by the Women's Resource Center in the Holland Building, room 489, or schedule an appointment at wrcstaff@dixie.edu. This program is first come, first serve. They are also providing students, faculty, and staff with free hygiene products, January 21st through April 22nd.
All right, Dixie State, we've got your Blazers Digest for the week. Comedian Brent Pell will be playing March 11th in the Gardner Ballroom, 7:30 p.m. Dixie Giving Day is Tuesday, March 10th. Student government applications are open, and notice of proposed tuition to increase Friday, March 13th, 8 a.m. in the Gardner Room C.
Are you wondering what's going on in our market? Would you like to hear some amazing stories of entrepreneurs that do what it takes to succeed? Listen live Tuesdays at 3 with your host, Peyton Fisher, on Radio St. George 100.3.
Made possible by a donation from the business department at Dixie State University. Thank you from Radio St. George at 100.3 FM.
You're listening to Radio St. George 100.3 FM. We now welcome you back to Return to Consciousness with your host, Nicole.
Hello, and welcome back to the second half of Return to Consciousness. I am Nicole, and
Dr. Will Miller.
Noreen Jessup.
And we are super happy to be here. The first half was amazing. It kind of went in different directions, masculine and feminine. So it started with empowerment of women, then it went into celebrating women, and really gave different facets. And I don't even necessarily know if it was our opinions or just a conversation of what we've heard, felt, sensed, or know, and just take it as you need it, because I know that through my channel, I connect to things people are asking, and I know you two both have that connection. So I trust that everything that came through, it touched somebody that needed it at that time. And so the motherly piece of this the second half, I really want to start in the meditation, but Noreen's story has touched many lives, and so I just kind of want to touch a little bit about that. She has two little girls that still have, I don't want to say suffering, because they're actually doing the best that they can in working through this PCAN, which causes the brain to accumulate too much iron. And so I'm going to just have her share with a little bit so that you can share the nonprofit and how people can assist or find out more about you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my girls are currently on a clinical trial that is to help with the brain disorder, to help dissolve the iron in the brain, help them be able to metabolize the B5 in the gut and all the different symptoms of this disorder. And they're doing so good right now. But we raised a lot of money just in our community. We built a House of Hope, and we got this clinical trial up. We weren't the only ones working on this. There's people all over the world working on this to get them on this medication. And in this process, as Nicole mentioned earlier, then my oldest son that has the same disorder passed away. And the day we laid him to rest, then we flew to Portland, Oregon, and started this trial. Like, the timing was so crazy because it was so divinely timed that there's no way you can ignore it. And if anybody wants to know more on that, it's the Spoonbill Foundation.
And so they have a medicine now. And when did you get that? On what day did you get that first set of medicine in the mail?
On my birthday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at that timing. Just everything was on perfect timing. So the disease is actually a degenerating brain disease. So it does cause them to cross over. And so the hope is that this medicine will assist them in a quality of life or reverse completely the symptoms, side effects, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And we feel like it is doing that with Aubrey. She's improving rapidly. Like, she is just doing leaps and bounds, and she's so precious.
And if anyone wants to support you, can they go to that website?
Yeah, there's the Spoonbill Foundation website. There's a Facebook page, and there's also a Give So They Can Live Facebook page, and that's the one for my children and my family.
And can you say that one more time?
Give So They Can Live.
So
on
you
Facebook.
Just go right to Facebook and you put that in, and you'll see Noreen's beautiful face and the children, and she also posts the journey, so you can kind of see what is happening, and always they're looking there. They embrace donations. Everything helps to move forward, and because it's not just for her children, it's for quite a few. Correct?
Yeah, a couple hundred children from Canada and the U.S.
And not only does Noreen have this journey that she's going through and that she shows up with her children every day, she also is assisting me in assisting women next month in a hike and things like that. So reach out to your communities. So what her and I do, is we go into these groups of women and we assist them in energetics. But this time we're going to go on a hike. And we're going to go to the labyrinth, and we're going to give the mothers of Down syndrome children a break. And then we teach about a little bit of coping skills and things like that. So I just want to tell you thank you and recognize you as one of those empowering women that inspire through when I say empowering, like, I want to just really bridge that inspiration and empowering, because like I told you, I said empowering, and I got a lot of these women that I didn't know that are in Congress and stuff. I'm like, I'm not feeling that. Like, but what I'm feeling is, to me, the empowering is like the indigenous, like the mothers like you. Like, so if you have a story such as this, please send it to us. You can send it energyhealingbydesign.com or energyhealingbydesign@gmail.com. And we love to just connect with people that are going through this, because there's support out there. And we do those groups, so we are more than happy to show up and share what we have done together with her children energetically, to give them a quality of life as they're going through their pain, especially Darren when he's going through his pain. Energy work and working with his angels, his energy, and
it made such a huge difference. It made him so he could be happy and not feel the pain as intensely, and just it did wonders for him for those last couple of years. And talking about these other women, like my biggest passion is connecting to these moms that feel like there's no hope or feel like there's no one that understands what they're going through, especially with, a lot of things go on with special needs kids. And they're so lost at times. And that is where I really, really, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
They're my favorite.
The support is there. And so we can share more of that too on the Dropbox. You can share when we get off, and you just go to, when I share it, you can just go in the comments and maybe share some information or just link your stuff so that people can reach out to you. And I feel like that would be a huge benefit. Do you have some input, William Miller, before we go into the meditation?
No, I think, the thing that came to me while you were talking is I think a lot of mothers in those situations or individuals just feel all alone. Mm-hmm. And they just need to know they're not alone. There are people out there, and it's just searching for it, and the support like you give in the community is awesome. So congratulations, awesome.
I feel like one of the biggest things with the women that I have worked with, like you, in the beginning, they are angry at the creator, God, source, whatever that looks like. A lot of women are, and they've really pushed away that spiritual side. And like with you let me know that you had no desire to hear about God or angels. You knew that I did frequency, and we worked with that for months, and in that we went that road until Darren started seeing the angels, and then it was just there. You got to start experience the angel bumps, the spirit bumps, mm-hmm. and it just started really flowering. I learned a lot from you too in how people perceive the angels. To me, they're no different than I can see them, feel them, and sense them just the same as I can you. So I got to learn that people really don't get the opportunity to feel that unfailing love on a daily basis. Mm-mm. And that direction of clarity, just like that.
Yeah.
And so
being out of touch is really easy.
So how does it feel now, though?
As soon as I start recentering and focusing and stuff, it's been really mind-blowing, because stuff that I've felt for so long, and then I meet with you and you just start telling me all this stuff. I'm like, well, I felt that forever. And then you realize, I have a direct source. I just have to pay attention. Mm-hmm. And we always doubt ourselves. We always doubt that that's even something real. And as soon as you can just
bring it into your consciousness, then you're like, that's real. That's a let's say a realer vibrational reality than the one you've been living in, because you've always been feeling, you've been denying it. And then when you are able to embrace that, and I love how you use the word center, because that's true. That's what we get to work on with you, and
a lot.
You're doing magnificent. So we're going to go into a short meditation and just give a little example of what you can do to connect to the light above and the core of Mother Earth. So we're going to invite you to close your eyes, relax, sit back, and really be comfortable. Feel like the edges of your seat, and if you're laying on a bed, feel those hard edges soften. I'm going to invite you to imagine a white light above your head, and in this magnificent light is your soul's design, the soul that connects us to each other in all that is. By bringing your awareness to this and broadening your consciousness, this white light becomes more vibrant, almost like a diamond, shining and twirling in the most magnificent design, remembering your design you created before you came here. As this moves down, it'll move down the top of your head, through the center of your body. And we invite this beautiful ray of light to move down through your energy fields in respect to the movement of each one of your energy centers, your chakras. And then we remember that this diamond ray, this beautiful white light, is clearing and cleansing each one of those chakras, these energy wheels. And each one of those chakras govern organs, blood, bone, and so on. Clearing out any disharmonies that you have inside of your body, of your physical, your mental, emotional, and so on. This beautiful cycle. This is creation sourcing through you. It's going to move down into Mother Earth, into this beautiful, magnificent ruby red heart. As it's twirling and twirling, it's going to move up like a DNA strand. We're going to remember all the love and joy that you send down to the core of Mother Earth. Mother Earth multiplies by 10 and sends it back up in the vitality and nutrients and unfailing love. Breathe that nurturing sway, just like she's rocking you in her arms, moving it up the bottom of your feet, through the core of your body, and out the top of your head. Really connecting you to everything above and everything below. Now I invite you to call upon both parts of you, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. Feel your heart and your brain unite. And remember, you were born in a spark of light, unfailing love, and in greatness. Be that. As your body's absorbing and allowing this beautiful energy to cycle through you and clear and cleanse old energy around you, creating you this beautiful orb or bubble of delight. Every breath in, the white light will move through you and around you. The light is to the sides of you, above you, below you, always with you. Now I invite you to imagine some tree trunks, some rocks, something that just creates a grounding feeling in your body. Feel those tree trunks grow up to limbs out your body, really grounding you into this earth where you're embodying all that light that you are so that you can express it through this time-space reality. And I encourage you to be in joy with you and shine like a diamond. And as you open your eyes, be aware of, is it brighter outside? What smells are you smelling? Feel that gratitude. And those little practices daily, they assist you. And it might seem interesting, and it might be uncomfortable, but try it. Try it. And if the information doesn't feel good at this time, it will, shelf it for later, but give yourself the opportunity to remember you are more than you've been told. So much more. And as we come back to this beautiful space we're in, would either of you two love to share your experience?
Go ahead. Put you on the spot today.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like this one was directed straight at me. So I love that as you ended that, you talked about gratitude. I've been really trying to listen to a lot of people around me in my day-to-day life, and I'm starting to notice more and more how much people aren't aware of what complacency does versus gratitude. And I can watch it like drain someone that's like so full of light, and then I keep thinking, I'm like, oh, well, that's how I feel a lot of times. And tapping into that gratitude brings all of that like joy and wholeness and everything back. It is, I don't know, that's the main thing that came to me when you ended that. I was like, I could work on being more grateful.
Yeah, and as we're opening that piece up, is that sometimes we tend to, when people are talking at us, we take it as it's towards us, and sometimes it's hurtful. But invite you to remember that sometimes people are projecting, and it's a reflection of how they feel. And so sometimes to not take things personal and go into that gratitude really quickly I found has really been easier for me. So when people are either maybe they're just negative or they're just having a bad day, but I found you tap your heart and your head, you breathe in, and you go into that gratitude, and it just awakens that soul's design. That soulful heart is very joyful and will never let you down when you need that boost of gratitude, I guess.
And warmth.
I just try to remember everyone's here, trying to do the very best they can. So I go into that empathy. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for where I'm at, and then it's empathy. And really anything anyone says to you it's just they're reflecting. That's it. Mm-hmm. They can't tell you how you feel. They don't know.
No.
So and
we're all here to
just,
experience.
Yeah, and everyone's doing the best they can in the moment, and we all have our moments.
Yes,
right?
we do.
So.
And gratitude practices are maybe in the morning you write 5 things you're grateful for. Yeah. And I've heard that before. Many teachers teach that. When if somebody irritates me or their energy irritates me after, I tend to forget to write, but I think of in my head, I'm like, okay, 5 things I love about them. 5 things I love about them. Yeah. If that doesn't work, then keep doing 5 until you're like, oh yeah, that's just a passing energy. Because you can talk yourself out of being in harmony because of being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you start thinking of that type of stuff, I overthink everything. So I go into this and this, all these different categories, and it doesn't even. But the shielding thing. When you taught me how to shield, it's like a whole conversation can go by and you're like, oh, you're still here. What were we talking about?
Yeah.
It's crazy because you can't even hear it, like when you shield that.
And it's not that you don't love that person or you don't care for that person. It's just that you have trained your body that's not yours, and you come to a profound understanding. You can't help them in their energy. Mm-hmm. It's toxic, and sometimes you get pulled into it, but...
Well, holding on to it's not going to do you any good either.
Right.
Right. You need to let it go. If they're giving it to you, just let it go.
And in your design, you didn't design their experience, so you literally cannot
do anything about
fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Only they can, because they knew they're going through it. They have this design. They have this toolbox of what they were going to go through, and that's what I've witnessed in every. I challenge my own self sometimes just to. I guess I don't know why, but so we all are doing the best that we can, and I just want to remind everybody that we do gatherings that we're really, really excited about because we only have a few minutes, but we do them on the first Thursday of every month, and you can follow on the webpage, energyhealingbydesign.com. On that, it has the events, and I'm going to update in case that changes because through the summer I know that people, we want to work around schools and things like that. So we'll check that calendar, and we'll also on Energy Healing by Design on Facebook will be the invites and things like that. And you guys, I'm sure, will share them on your page. So, and what that does is allow an open space. And what I've heard from the most common comment from these groups is that it's unfailing, it's unconditional love. You get rebooted. You are able to speak freely about things that you wouldn't really talk about to anybody else because they wouldn't understand them. And then I found that some people get the confidence to talk to those people that wouldn't understand, and they realize that they needed that, and then they show up because people need to know they're loved, and they need to know that these thoughts, emotions, feelings that feel so out there are happening with all of us.
Well, everybody's a little lost, and we forget. We think everybody has it together, so we feel like we're going to be judged if we say anything.
Yeah.
But when you do say something, you realize, well, they're just as lost as me, and then they're excited because they're not alone anymore, right?
Right, and it's always and it's different. Sometimes, like mine is different than yours, and yours is different than hers, and that. But there's a feeling of what the is going on.
We're all a little bit crazy,
right? So this collectively, you could come and share freely. We do a short meditation again, and you found how easy for those who really were to engage into the meditation. That's 5 minutes, and that will put you on your course. Be present in the now. And remember that really focusing on that joy in the now is going to show up in your future. So if you're in a really poopy place and you're trying to manifest something, you're going to pull that poopiness in there. I could have used better words, but I didn't. But if you're in a joyful place and you're like, I don't really know what my future looks like, but I want to feel like this, then no matter what presents itself, you're going to feel like that. So in that's just a big inspiration for whoever listened to this conversation. I'm understanding they asked that question and it came through my head. So again, I am Nicole Ashton. I am an intuitive healer, world-renowned for my compassion and healing and the pieces of working in hospitals and incurable diseases, things like this that I've dedicated my whole life to. And you can reach me at energyhealingbydesign.com. And our guests are
Noreen, Jessup.
And she's a support system for women with children with disabilities. And you can follow her on Facebook. And you are?
Dr. Will Miller and lifebydesigninstitute.org.
And we will be back next week. Have the most amazing week.
You've been listening to Return to Consciousness with your host, Nicole Ashton, creator of Energy Healing by Design, a world-renowned healer and luminary whose life after death experience has allowed her the gift of empowering people around the globe to heal and grow in their true authentic space. For audio and or video of this, go to Facebook or YouTube, Podbean or Spotify, and search Radio St. George or radiostgeorge.com. We invite you back next Wednesday at 4 o'clock for Return to Consciousness with Nicole Ashton.